Okay, everyone, today we are going to add and subtract mixed numbers. You need your lesson page 305 and a pencil. Last lesson we learned how to add and subtract fractions. So we're just going to do a really quick review before we start on this lesson. We talked about what a whole is. That is when all of the pieces are used. In this first circle's case, there are 4 pieces total, and all 4 were used. So 4 out of the 4 pieces are being used. So it's 4/4. This next circle, the second one, is 8/8. And these are just ways to rename a whole, and that's going to be important today in our lesson. We also need to review what a mixed number is. A mixed number has a whole number represented by this 2 here beside a fraction, which is the part of a number. And then sometimes there are improper fractions where the amount of pieces used, the top number, the numerator, is larger, greater in value than the bottom number. So in that case, then we have to take away a whole, because we know that a whole, for this example, 12/8, a whole would be 8/8. Okay, you remember that from up here? We talked about a whole being 4/4 or 8/8, 12/12, 16/16. All the pieces are used. So to change an improper fraction, we need to, or to rename one, we need to subtract the whole. So we would subtract 8/8. Okay, and we're not really subtracting it, we're just renaming this as one whole. We're just taking it out of the fraction, so we have a whole number, and whatever is left over will be the fraction. So all we need to do now is 12 minus 8. This 12 minus 8 is 4, and the eighths will stay the same. So here is the renaming of the improper fraction. It becomes 1 4/8. Okay, now this is all very important to know for today's lesson. Okay, I think the best way to attack this is to do the adding first, and then we will discuss the subtracting. That way we can learn a little, practice, and then learn a little, and then practice. Okay, so let's take a look. Right up here in the directions, well, not the directions, this box up here, let me change my color, right here shows you everything that I am showing you. So if you need to refer to that, you can. All right, so let's take a look at number 1. We have 3 4/5 plus 4 3/5. First thing we want to do is we want to add the whole numbers. So let's add 3 plus 4 is 7. Now we'll add the fractions. 4 plus 3 is 4 plus 3 is, did you say 7? 4 plus 3 is 7/5. All right. Okay, now, if you notice, do you see that we have an improper fraction right here? So we need to rename that. Okay, so I'm still going to use this yellow. Whoops, I don't want equals. So we know we have more fifths being used here because 7 is greater than 5. So we can take away a whole. We can take away 5/5. And we're not really taking it away, like I said. This is going to become one whole that we will add to this 7 over here. Okay, so this is going to become 8 because we added this whole to that 7 number, the whole number 7. Now all we need to do is subtract this 5 from the 7, which then becomes 2, and the fifths stay the same. So here is your answer, 8 2/5. Okay, I'm going to do number 2 with you also. All right, so number 2, we want to add the whole numbers together first. So 2 plus 4 is 6. Then we're going to add our fractions. 1 plus 1 is 2. And then we have our pieces stay the same as 2, our total pieces. So now we have 6 2/2. Well, what did we learn about wholes? Remember that over here? Wholes, when the top number is same as the bottom number, that's a whole. Okay, so we're going to change this into one whole. So we're going to add the 6 plus this 1 is 7, and that is your answer. Okay, so you have to take some of the things that you know and apply it. So you go ahead and do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Stop right there. Don't go past number 8 because then we'll be getting into subtraction. Remember, if your answer has an improper fraction, you need to rename it. Okay, pause the video, work those problems, and then we'll go over the answers. Okay, checking your answers. For number 3, the first answer you got was 12 4/3, which then is renamed as 13 1/3. So I am going to give you the improper fraction and then tell you what it was renamed for these answers. All right, number 4, the answer is 9 7/9. Number 5, you should have at first got 5 8/6, which would be renamed as 6 2/6. Number 6 is 7 3/7. That one was fine just the way it was. Number 7 is 14 2/2, which those 2/2 then become a 1. Adding to the 14, your final answer is 15. Number 8 should be 9 9/6, renamed as 10 3/6. All right, so we finished the adding part, and you found out that when you add, you have to rename the improper fraction in your answer. Now, when we subtract, we have to change or rename the first fraction before we can subtract sometimes. And what they did was they give you this nice little hint here with the 1, and I'm going to explain that to you right now. So normally whenever we subtract mixed numbers, we subtract the fractions first. So looking at the top numbers, 5 minus 3 is 2. And we'll carry over the 6. So 2/6. Now we can subtract the whole numbers. 3 minus 1 is 2. And there is the answer. Now we have 2 1/10 minus 1 8/10. We're going to start with the fractions first. Can we subtract 8/10 from 1/10? No, we can't. So we need to rename one of the wholes. So we're going to take this 2 and we're going to rename 1. You know how 2 is 2 items? We're going to leave 1 there and we're going to rename 1 10/10. Okay, now this 10 plus this 1 now becomes 11/10. Okay, so we have 11/10 minus 8/10 is 3/10. And then now we can subtract our whole numbers. 1 minus 1 is nothing. All right, and that is how we're going to do this. So let's take a look at number 9. They have it worked out for you to make it a little bit easier to see, and they give you these nice ones to let you know that that's where you're going to put the whole that you rename into a fraction. All right, but let's look at number 9 here. The original says 4 1/6 minus 1 5/6. Well, you can't take 5/6 from 1/6, so you have to borrow. Okay, and what they did was they borrowed from this 4, they borrowed 1, and then this became 3. They renamed the 1. You have to look here at these, at the divisions here, at the pieces, the amount of total pieces, which are 6ths. So to rename 1, it becomes 6/6. Okay. So we have this, let me change the color here. This 3 plus this 1 here that's renamed into 6/6 equals that 4 that we started out with. Okay. All right. So now that we have this broken down into a fraction, we can add it to this one. Okay. And that is going to give us this 6 plus this 6 right here plus this 1 is going to give us this 7 right here. So we have 7/6 now minus 5/6 equals 2/6. Then we will subtract the whole numbers. 3 minus 1 is 2. All right, let's do another one. That one was a little bit maybe hard to see because of how they had it redone. All right, so we have 7 1/3 minus 2 2/3. We can't take 2 from 1, so we will need to rename. So let's knock down this 7 to 6th. And we have 1 that we're going to turn into a fraction. You got to look here at the units. Okay, it's in thirds. So to make 6 plus a whole would be 3/3. 6 plus 3/3 makes 7. Okay, so you got to make sure you have that set. Okay, then we have to add this 1/3 plus 1/3. Okay, and then that now becomes 3 plus 1 is 4/3. Okay, 4/3 minus 2/3 is 2/3. And now we can, whoops, my thing changed. Okay, now we can subtract our whole numbers. 6 minus 2 is 4. Okay, let's do number 11 because this might be something that you haven't seen before. Okay, we have 6 and no fractions minus 4 5/8. Well, we can't take 5/8 from nothing. So we need to create a fraction. So what we're going to do is knock down this 6. We're going to take 1 from it. So I knocked it down to 5. But the 1 I took from it, I'm going to rename as 8/8 because we're using 8 as our unit. Okay? That's our partitions. Now we can do it. 8 minus 5 is 3/8. 5 minus 4 is 1. And there you go. All right, so you try the rest to the end of the page, pause the video, and then unpause it, and I'll have the answers up. All right, so for number 12, you should have got 4 4/5. Number 13, 6 5/8. Number 14, 2 3/4. And 15, 1 5/6. All right, so you need to finish the back of this page, page 306, and your homework page, just the front, page 223, and turn them in when you are finished.